Hi, and welcome to this week's video podcast. I'm Brent Dodge, owner of Alpine Physical Therapy. This week we have a special guest by the name of Jonathan Hoffman from Tel Aviv, Israel.
Right.
There's a lot of buzz in the air right now, Jonathan, about the piece of equipment that you have designed. In fact, an entire technology called CoreAlign, which we have been promoting here at Alpine Physical Therapy. It's brand new technology. There's a lot of buzz in the air, and we're just super excited to have Jonathan with us this week, overseeing our first certification course for all of our physical therapists in this new technology and approach called CoreAlign. Jonathan, we're glad you're here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Jonathan, you have created a fantastic piece of equipment called the CoreAlign. Where did that start, and what was going through your mind as this developed?
Well, actually it started in the physical therapy clinic. My background is a manual physical therapist. Therefore, we're trained to use our hands to treat people, but it's becoming more and more clear, especially with research lately, that to finalize the treatment, to continue the treatment, we need to complement it with exercises, because the body moves by itself. It doesn't need the therapist to move it. So if the ultimate answer is with exercises, sometimes after the manual session, then we'll push the people from the manual portion of the treatment toward exercises. Now then the question came as to what kind of exercises are the best. So we have exercises in the markets, but I was looking for a free-flowing, full-body exercise against resistance, where we do it standing up and where we can separate left from right independently. So the only way for me to think about that was to use two independent movement tracks, which had not been used before, two independent movement tracks. And so I went to the hardware store, and I got all kinds of rails and tracks, and I built something which was really bad, but
That was a start.
when I got on it, I felt the magic. Wow. And it was a unique feeling. And the amazing thing is, immediately I started to try it out on my patients. Of course, I told them this is something new, and it's experimental. But we got amazing results. Actually, one of my good friends needed a hip replacement, a hip resurfacing. So he did the operation, and then I started to rehabilitate him on the CoreAlign. No manual therapy, nothing, no other exercises. Just get them on the CoreAlign and learn how to bring that hip to work together with the body. So it's not focusing on the hip, it's focusing on the hip working together with the rest of the body. And of course, the rest of the body is the other side also. So we need to work the one side against the other side. That's why we have the separate movement cards. And then I started to treat back patients on it. And we actually got to the weakest parts of their movement. Once we started to lay the foundations and build the weakest part of their movements, then they actually came to me and I said, well, hey, let's make this a regular exercise. Let's do it a regular sport like Pilates. If these exercises got us out of trouble, then these are the exercises I want to keep.
Fantastic.
And
what year was that when you first kind of put all this together?
This started in 2005.
2005.
The first exercise group for healthy people was made from the first group of patients who got better using the exercises. So actually from 2005 we've had CoreAlign classes for healthy people every single day of the week, non-stop.
Now you started this whole thing in your home in Tel Aviv, Israel. Mm-hmm. Are you starting to see that blossom out into other places?
I sold the technology to a fantastic company called Balance Body from Sacramento, California. And they have an amazing education program. So this international company, together with international education facilities, was an opportunity for me to take this new technology and really spread it all over the world. And I'm really, it's such a great company, and they make such good products. And
well, we've worked with them because they've really made one of the finest Pilates units. In fact, all of our clinics have balanced body equipment and accessories And it was kind of through that, I think, that we got experience about what was going on with your work. I just got back from San Diego in a class that you presented, and I think it's important for our viewers to know that we're working directly with the source, Jonathan Hoffman, on this in terms of bringing technology now back to Missoula, Montana. In fact, we just got the first 4 units for our 2 clinics that we'll be adding to, and I know they were of the first 100 actual units off the press, as it were. So we're just super excited about that. And just as an aside, we're going to be doing a certification class with our master instructor, Sam Schoeneman, who we'll introduce shortly, this weekend. And we're glad you're here to kind of help oversee that. One of the other questions I have, Jonathan, is, you know, you've mentioned some back pain. You've mentioned the person that had the hip resurfacing. Are there other particular populations of people that seem to respond well? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, what happened is that athletes who started using it, suddenly they came and they reported that their performance has improved significantly with actually not adding any practice effort, just by doing the exercises and getting the body to move maybe differently than it moved before. And then the results just came by themselves, and that's really exciting. Because I believe this CoreAlign has an effect on human performance which is greater than the new swimming suits for swimmers.
So these athletes, are they any particular sport or a variety of sports?
Well, I work in Israel. I work with the water ski team, which is good fun. I work with professional basketball players, with tennis players, and actually, but the most dramatic stories are the amateur athletes. Right? I had this windsurfer, and suddenly, because of the new hip flexibility, suddenly water starting was easy. Yeah. Whereas before it was a struggle, because they were actually fighting against their own body. And so lots of good things happen.
Any particular medical diagnostics, like, you know, people that have a certain diagnosis? You did mention back pain. We see a lot of challenging back pain at Alpine, and I think that's one of the areas we're really excited about, helping our patients, getting to them that next level of being able to transition into a fitness program for life.
Yeah, well, a case that comes to mind is a young girl who had scoliosis as a teenager, and she had a Harrington rod inserted throughout her spine. So she's got no movement in her spine, and she had back pain. So on examination, then what we found is that the shoulders and the hips were really limited. So it's not only the spine that's limited, the shoulders and the hips got really limited. And then she had back pain. So of course, you can't mobilize the spine because there's a rod over there. So what we did with the CoreAlign is we taught her to stabilize her spine through the muscles and not to lean on the rod, and then to increase the movements in the shoulders and the hips against her self-holding, not against leaning on the rod. And then, of course, her back pain disappeared and her function improved, and I actually was starting to think of maybe one day we can get rid of the rod, but it's frightening. I don't know if things like that have been done before, but that's the beauty of the CoreAlign. We're looking at things differently and in a new vision, and
definitely on the front end of something.
This is actually the beginning of lots of good things that are going to happen.
I find that case study extremely interesting as a physical therapist, thinking about how many people I have with back pain. And when we really trace things out, it's like, I've got a hip situation here, and when we actually make that transition to work in the hip, we see improvements in back pain. And you guys did it through the CoreAlign, which is phenomenal. Jonathan, where do you see things going with your technology and the way it's being marketed with Balanced Body? Where is this thing going?
Oh, that's a good question, because the beauty of working with Balanced Body is that they have such good faculty, like Sam from Alpine, and basically with such a good faculty, they're going to take it all over the world, and we're going to have thousands and thousands of exercises, and they're all going to be unique and very special. So, you know, I'm very excited. I think this is going to make lots of people better.
Well, I'm thinking this is exciting too. I mean, we've kind of seen this thing unfold over the past 6-8 months, and we're in a 50,000 square foot fitness facility. And when people are seeing this equipment, they're kind of doing a double take, and there's just a huge buzz right now. We're actually going to be opening up one of the training centers here. We're super excited about, and I'm going to let Sam talk a little bit about her experience with you and the work you're doing, the fact she's become a master instructor. And ultimately the fact she's now going to be certifying the folks in our clinic over the weekend. It's a big weekend for us. We're super excited about it. So right now, I want to go ahead and introduce Sam Shoneman and have her meet with you just for a little bit.
Hi, I'm Sam Shoneman. I'm a physical therapist at Alpine Physical Therapy. I'm also a certified Pilates instructor, and now recently passed my master trainer test and exam for CoreAlign. And I'm here with Jonathan, who is the inventor of CoreAlign, and he's here to really come back to taking the next step even with the CoreAlign machine and its methods. I first came across and met Jonathan almost a year ago. Is that right?
Exactly a year ago.
On Pilates on Tour.
In March.
And I think I walked by the CoreAlign machine a couple times, and finally, once I got on the machine, it hit me. You could feel it immediately. And further, Jonathan let me know his background in physical therapy and where the theory came to develop this piece of machinery and the science that came behind it. You can kind of maybe tell me a little bit about that and share that with our audience on how you as a PT developed.
Okay, well, my background as a physical therapist is actually manual physical therapy. But in the recent years, manual physical therapy is getting very involved with exercise physical therapy, which is, I think, is a very a good direction, because at the end of the day, the body heals itself just by moving correctly. Mm-hmm. And our job as physical therapists is just to make sure that the body moves correctly. Mm-hmm. So if the basic premise is that the body will heal itself, then all we have to do as physical therapists is to get the body to move correctly, and then it will heal itself. Now, I know it sounds naive, but this is actually what we do, and it actually works.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting, because good things happen. Good things happen just by moving correctly.
I agree.
And it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I feel like the CoreAlign provides for my patients and some of even the non-patients I have, those athletes I work with, the means to kind of reorganize and really provide a conscious movement pattern where they are able to work in an efficient way, where the body's working in harmonious manner, and yeah. Becomes more efficient, and then that can relate to their everyday life, and it becomes how they move, and it's a really unique environment how the CoreAlign allows the patient to find that, and then again upgrade and continue to build on those movement patterns. And so after I recently went through the master training exam with Balanced Body University and have become a faculty, I'm excited to be able to come back to Montana and teach our clinic of 10 physical therapists. The CoreAlign 1, the first course of the CoreAlign method, and Jonathan's here to help me with that this weekend. Jonathan, is it going to be kind of a new, maybe perhaps a new market or new experience to teach a bunch of PTs exercise on the CoreAlign? Have you had that opportunity before?
Well, yeah, we have. We've never had actually a course full of PTs. Usually we combine Pilates instructors with PTs. Mm-hmm. Now it will be a course for PTs, which of course will be different, because PTs kind of are more interested in the fixed stage. Mm-hmm. To use the exercises as an intervention mm-hmm. to make a difference in the movement, mm-hmm. whereas Pilates instructors are more interested in the foundation stage, and that is to lay foundations and to continuously upgrade the movement. Mm-hmm. So if someone's injured, of course, they'll need the intervention, and then the next stage would be the foundation and the upgrading of the body.
Yeah.
So it is slightly different. It's not saying which is better, because both are important.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to specialize in more in the fixed stage and then go to the foundation stage later on.
And as a PT, I'm really enjoying seeing my patients work out of that fixed stage and be able to be challenged at a higher level in that foundation stage and even broach that sports performance stage and that fun stage. So that is really exciting for me, especially as our healthcare changes, that as a practitioner, I get to start to work towards that whole continuum of how the body functions when it needs fixing, and then also laying down those foundations, and then again, helping athletes really up their performance to a degree where not only are they performing better, but they're having more fun.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Yeah, I'm really glad to have you on the team. I'm glad to have Alpine Physical Therapy as an educational center for Coraline. I think Montana is a good place to start it all. I can see everyone is doing sports around us over here in Missoula. So it's great. I'm really excited. Thanks for having me.
We hope it's just the beginning of getting everybody out there and trying Coraline and seeing the impact that it can truly have on everyday movement all the way to sports performance. So
this is exciting.
It's kind of the beginning of everything here, I think.
Beginning of something new. And
yes,
that's exciting.
definitely. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's been a real pleasure to have Jonathan here today with us and for this weekend. For more information regarding Coraline, please visit our websites or call one of our clinics.